Hello everyone and welcome back. This is Yunli speaking. Before we get started today, make sure to like, share, subscribe, comment, hit that notification bell, and check out the description portion of my YouTube channel so you can see 6 different ways you can donate. There's PayPal, there's Bitcoin, Etherum, USDT, and if you live in Vietnam, number 6, which is VietinBank, bank-to-bank transfer. Now, we're going to go ahead and get started. As I mentioned earlier, this is a shitlist type video, so this is more than likely going to be marked 18 plus because of the word shit, and a bunch of other colorful language. So yeah, there's 3 topics today. The first topic is Wal-Mart. The second topic is Major Academy JSC, which is a English center here in Vietnam, and the last one is LinkedIn. And of course, you always gotta save the best for last. Alright, so we're going to get started. The first topic is Walmart. Now, why do I have a beef with Walmart and why are they on my shit list? Well, it's simple. Back when I was on LinkedIn, I went and saw their CEO talking about, quarterly profits and stuff like that from Walmart. And the thing is, though, is the fact that I went and posted twice, once on that post, once on a different post, about how if the company is experiencing profits but the employees don't see a wage increase, that's called wage theft. And anyone in America knows that Walmart does not pay their employees a living wage. Oh, they'll help you get government benefits really easy, but they won't give you a living wage where you don't have to get government benefits anymore. Now, on the other post that I commented on is that Walmart is bragging about how they're using AI in their training and stuff like that. And I go, well, what about people like me who don't want to use AI? What about us? See, I believe that you shouldn't use AI for every single little thing you can possibly think of. Okay? Now, I do realize that for, say, supercomputers, quantum computers, stuff like that, AI might be necessary because of the level of complexity involved. However, using AI to train people at Walmart is a bad idea because Walmart is not exactly filled with bachelor degree, master's degree, and doctorate level, educated people. Now, in order to get into the higher positions in Walmart, yeah, you would have to have a associate's, bachelor's, master's, or a doctorate in something if you went to higher level positions, especially at corporate. But for the average garden variety person that works at an average garden variety Walmart, you're not going to find any bachelor degrees or anything like that. It's just people with no college education, mostly, that work at Walmart. And they work at Walmart because they either can't or won't work at fast food like McDonald's, Burger King, Wendy's, Sonic, stuff like that. Oh, and before I go any further, this is just this, but it's the cigarette butts. When you smoke it down low enough and gets to the cigarette butt, most people throw it away. I go ahead and take the cigarette butt, the little bit of herbs that's left in there, and I re-roll it so I get a long cigarette. So that's what this is. Alright. But with Walmart, see, the thing with Walmart is simple. See, Walmart, especially in my hometown, Manhattan, Kansas, Walmart has existed there, well, since before I was born, because I was born in '86, and I know Walmart was there as an old Division One store a long, 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 long time ago. I remember the old Division One store and how it had a McDonald's inside of it, tiny compared to the Supercenter. But my mom, there's a little bit of history with Walmart in my family. After my dad came off the road from driving truck, my mom went to work because my dad refused to work anymore. So he drew military retirement because he spent over 20 plus years in the army. So he's got like $1,200 a month military retirement, and he didn't want to work anymore. So, that's that. Well, my mom, the first job she did was working at a Bonanza back when Bonanza still operated in Manhattan, Kansas. Then after that, she went to work for Sterling Construction. Now, she tried to go to work for Sonic, but Sonic said she was overqualified because she had over 15 years in the Army as a cook and customs MP. So they say she was overqualified. So after Sterling Construction, she went to Manhattan Town Center Mall. And after that was done, she went and worked at the old Division One Walmart in the little mini mall area. And then one day, a tornado came through and ripped the roof off of the old Division One Walmart. So that Walmart was pretty much out of commission. It wasn't going to be a Walmart no more. Well, Manhattan still needed a Walmart, so that's when they started construction on the Supercenter. And the Supercenter was completed, and it's been in operation ever since. Well, my mom worked at the new Supercenter there until she retired, I think it was about 10 years ago, thereabouts. And essentially, my mom worked the night shift, so she got the shift differential. And she made decent salary, and at every paycheck, she managed to buy at least one piece of Walmart stock at every paycheck she ever got. Now imagine, over 20, I would say, maybe 20 years, maybe more, that she spent at Walmart. So she definitely retired. I don't know if she draws retirement for Walmart or whatever, if there even is such a thing. But I do know she bought stock. But see, my mom was the exception to the rule because of the fact that even though she obviously had a family, my brother, myself, and her husband, my dad, she did not draw public assistance. My dad did not draw public assistance. Things were extremely tight in the house, but we managed to make it work. Now, for the vast majority of people who work for Walmart, however, that is not possible. They have to have some form of government assistance, like SNAP, EBT, Supplemental Nutritional Assistance Program, SNAP benefits, Section 8, some type of government benefit to supplement the meager income they get from Walmart. And I honestly think that Walmart needs to do better. If they can brag about how much profit they're making quarterly, then they should also brag about raising their employee wages to a standard where the employees, even new hires, do not have to worry about applying for government benefits of any kind. That's my opinion. Now, I'm not talking about McDonald's, Burger King, Wendy's, Sonic, or fast food joints. I'm talking about Walmart. The retail giant, not only in America, but also worldwide. I'd say worldwide, because there's also a Walmart in China. even though there's not a Walmart here in Vietnam. We have a sourcing office here in Ho Chi Minh City, at least last I heard anyways. But excuse me, I have to blow my nose real quick. I'm going to pause the video and then I'll be right back. Hi everyone, I'm back. Sorry about that. Whenever I blow my nose, or whenever I sneeze, I have to blow my nose, or else it's just not very pleasant for me all around. But getting back to the topic of Walmart. So, as I mentioned before, I'm not talking about, Burger King, McDonald's, Sonic, anything like that. I'm talking about a worldwide retail giant, Walmart, that can give million-dollar bonuses to their executives, yet somehow can't afford to go ahead and give their regular average employees a living wage. Now, the way I think of it, instead of paying a minimum wage, which is what they normally do, they should pay a minimum of at least $15 to $20 an hour. Why? It's simple. They can afford it. Instead of the CEO, instead of the executives, instead of corporate people getting their million-dollar bonuses, turn around, take that money, and give it back to the workers. Take the profit and give it back to the workers. Better benefits, better salary. It's not difficult. It's just they don't want to do that because they're a corporation. They care only about themselves and not about the people that work for them. Because they know that for every person that quits, there will be at least 2 people wanting to take that spot. So there's never any shortage of people that will work for Walmart. Now see, I used to work for Walmart myself in Springfield, Missouri, but that was just a local neighborhood market. And I can tell you that I was getting minimum wage. That's all they wanted to pay, was minimum wage. I did not get full-time. They would not give me full-time. I was lucky if I got maybe 25 hours a week, if that. And they only gave full-time to the managers. That's it. Everyone else was part-time. Everyone else was paid minimum wage. It sucked. And, of course, I was living at the homeless shelter at the time. And because I make a minimum wage, I only had like 20-something hours a week. And I was living at a homeless shelter. Of course, they're like, well, you need to get on benefits. You need to get on benefits. I'm like, no, I'm not doing that. If my mom can work at Walmart for 20 years and not be on benefits, so can I. Well, what happened when I discovered taxi driving, I quit Walmart because of the fact that I just didn't see myself working at Walmart part-time for the rest of my natural life. I wanted something more. And at the time, taxi driving was where it was at. But I have, like I said, lots of stories from working at Walmart. And most of them aren't really that great. Honestly, they weren't really that great. I remember one time, it was my birthday. And literally the only person who ever said happy birthday to me wasn't a person at all. It was a computer. Because I was scheduled to work on my birthday even though I asked for it off. I was still scheduled to work on my birthday. And the only person who said happy birthday to me, like I said, wasn't a person. It was a computer. When you clock in, and it said happy birthday, and that's it. So I paid for 2 cakes that said happy birthday on it. I paid for that. I put it in the break room. Did anybody say thank you? No. They took their slice of cake and that's it. But besides that, as far as Walmart goes, the way I see it, Walmart does crush small business, because as soon as a Walmart goes into a town, that's it. All the small businesses close up shop because everybody shops at Walmart. They don't shop at the, mom and pop stores anymore. Now, see, the reason why there's not a Walmart here in Vietnam, especially in Ho Chi Minh City, is because small business is king here. You can throw a stone and hit a small business here. And literally every single street has a small business on it. The street I live on is literally almost all small business. I'd say for out of every 20 small businesses, there's maybe one house. Yeah, that's how many there are. Not to mention the fact that Walmart would also face stiff competition from Latte Mart, Co-op Mart, I think there's a few others. There's Latte Mart, Co-op Mart, Eon Mall, Giga Mall. It would face stiff competition. So that's the reason why I think, anyways, that Walmart's not here in Vietnam yet. Now, they do have a sourcing office here in Ho Chi Minh City, but that's all I know about them. So anyways, continuing on, Walmart, see, back when I was in America, if I had a choice to shop anywhere else, I would, but unfortunately, Walmart has cheaper prices than other stores. Now, in Springfield, they had Hy-Vee and Price Cutter, which I normally did my shopping there anyways. If it was something I couldn't find at either one of those two, Hy-Vee was more expensive than Price Cutter. But if I couldn't find what I was looking for at either one of those two, then I'd be forced to go to Walmart, because Walmart has a bunch of stuff from a lot of different countries. But if I could give one piece of advice at all, it would be to shop local. Buy from your local mom and pop stores. Buy from the local farmers markets that may show up like every Saturday and Sunday or something like that. If you live near an Amish community, if you're in the U.S. and you live near an Amish community or Mennonite community, buy your food from there. Alright? It's literally all organic. They don't use poison or pesticides or nothing. It's all organic. See, it's not the mega corporations like Walmart that have the power. It's the customers that do. And the customers decide where they shop at. Customers decide where they want to spend their money and what they want to spend their money on. Do you want to shop at a place that pays their employees next to nothing? Or do you want to go ahead and buy from, a small mom and pop store where every dollar you spend goes back into the community? That's how I see it. Alright, well, this is already approaching the 20-minute mark, so I'm going to get ready to switch topics here in less than a minute. So, essentially, to wrap up the last 30 seconds or so before I move on to the next topic, to summarize, I don't use AI, and if I were to go back to Walmart, I would tell them specifically I don't use AI, and I would do the trading the old-fashioned way. And also the same thing that I said before is that if Walmart can go ahead and brag about having massive profits quarterly, they should also brag about how much they're increasing their regular employee salary to go ahead and match. So, yeah. Alright, so now is going to go ahead and hit the 20-minute mark now. So now I'm going to switch topics and talk about Major Academy JSC. Now, Major Academy JSC is an English center here in Ho Chi Minh City, Vietnam. and they're actually a spin-off of a private school. Now again, when I was on LinkedIn, and I go ahead and see them advertising for English teacher positions, I go ahead and say flat out, do not work for this school. Do not work for them. They joyfully break the labor laws. They will make you pay for stuff that you're not supposed to. They will treat you like a tool and not like a person, and as soon as you stand up for yourself, you get fired. Now I know a lot of, English centers do that, but Major Academy is especially heinous because of the fact that I don't know if I will classify this as 18 plus, because I'm not using a lot of foul language in this one. Maybe not. But anyways, so with Major Academy, the beef I have with them and why they're on my shit list. Now, if you've watched my videos for any great length of time, you'll notice I have mentioned Major Academy a few times. I'm going to stub this out and save it for later, so give me just a moment. I will be right back. Alright, now I'm back. So, as I was saying earlier, Major Academy JSC Joint Stock Company is a split-off of another private school here in Ho Chi Minh City. Now, with them specifically, why I have a beef with them and why they're on my shit list is, like I said, they go ahead, they make you pay for stuff you're not supposed to, they treat you like a tool, not like a person, and as soon as you stand up for yourself, you no longer have a job. Well, my experience with them was not exactly the greatest. I mean, there's several areas for improvement. I remember how I think I met them on Facebook. I'm not sure. But I went ahead and met them, I think, on Facebook. I went ahead and talked to them on Messenger and Zalo, which is Vietnamese messaging. And signed paperwork, got hired. Never mentioned them that I know labor laws at all. Now, last year, a work permit exemption certificate was still required for me, even though, I'm married, so I don't need a regular work permit. Well, they tried to get me to pay for a regular work permit, and I told them, no, I'm not doing that because, the work permit for Region 1, which is Ho Chi Minh City, the government price is only 400,000 dong. I'm not paying 5 million dong. So, less than 20 bucks for a work permit versus, I think the price is 300 bucks. So yeah, 20 bucks versus 300 bucks. Yeah. And I told them, I'm married. I'm exempt from a regular work permit. I don't want a regular work permit. So, after going back and forth with them about that, they went ahead and let me go. Now, the thing is, though, I'm sure they put in the paperwork for a work permit exemption certificate. Like they went and said that the reason why it was taking so long is because of the fact that they were changing over from Major Education to Major Academy, and that's the reason why that the paperwork is keeping still held up. Now, personally, I don't know for sure, but from my point of view, I was working legally, so I didn't have any problems. Now, here's the thing: when I worked for Major Academy JSC, I only went to one school, just one. And I worked 33 hours a week. And I can tell you for a fact that 33 hours a week at one school is what I call the golden schedule. I call it the golden schedule because of the plain and simple fact that, like I said, it's only one school and it's 33 hours a week. Now, 480,000 dong an hour, which is what I was making, times 33 hours a week, times 4 weeks in a month, equals, I was making 36, 90, 120, about 132 hours a week. Or 132 hours a week. 132 hours a month. Net, not gross. So I was making upwards of 60, 70 million a month. Now, what happened, why I stopped working for them, is because of the fact that, well, for starters, I have standards. And I have standards. I wouldn't let lazy students copy answers off the board. I wouldn't let lazy students treat my class like a free period. They think they can do what they want when they want and there's no consequences for their actions. I do not sing, dance, play games. I just teach the lesson and that's it. I do not behave like I just got off the airplane. I behave like a local Vietnamese citizen and not like a foreigner. I actually do love, cherish, and respect Vietnamese culture and heritage, which is, I guess, something else they had a problem with. I don't know. Now, every Monday morning, I actually made the students stand up for the flag raising ceremony because they do that every Monday morning. And again, I think every Friday afternoon, thereabouts, I made them stand up for that. And I would not let them talk at all. I made them behave in the classroom the same as what they would behave outside if they were outside for a flag raising ceremony. Discipline. If students were being disrespectful, naughty, not doing their work, stuff like that, I make them stand up. But I would only make them stand up for 5 minutes on a timer. So I knew for a fact I was not making them stand up for more than 5 minutes. If I had them stand up more than 3 times in a period, I had to go see the school discipline supervisor. That's it. That's all I did. But apparently, everything I was doing, even though it's legal, under the Ministry of Education and Training guidelines for disciplining students, the students themselves had a problem with it because I wouldn't let them be lazy. I wouldn't let them treat my class like a free period. I don't see them dance, play games. I teach the lesson. I actually care about them. They didn't like that. So after a few manufactured complaints, and I call it manufactured because there was really no evidence to support what they were saying. So that's the reason why they're like, oh, well, you're not going to go ahead and work here anymore because blah, blah, blah. And I asked them, I'm like, where's the proof? Show me the proof where I did this. Show me the proof where I did that. They didn't have it. They just said that we're not going to go ahead and send you to school anymore. We're going to give you 3 days of extra pay on your salary because if the contract is under 1 year, only 3 days notice is required to quit or be fired. And they chose to fire me but give me the 3 days pay, so it's technically legal. Now, I'm sure that the unqualified teacher that got to take my spot did everything they asked, including allow, $5 million to be taken out of their salary for a work permit that they didn't need to pay for. So, they couldn't steal from me, they couldn't trick me, they couldn't deceive me, so they got rid of me. Now, here's the thing. From my house to the middle school that I was teaching at, it took me, on a good day, maybe about 30 minutes to get from here to there. Now, I would get out of this house at about 3 to 3:15 in the morning. Go to a restaurant, eat there. Could I have breakfast? A simple bowl of pho, either beef or chicken. And I'd go ahead and sit there, eat, relax for a little bit, enjoy my coffee that I purchased earlier. Because I'd always purchase coffee first, leave, go to the restaurant, eat breakfast, and then after that, head on in. Well, I always managed to get to the school between 5 and 5:15 every day that I worked there. Why is this important? That's simple. Because I got there so egregiously early, I was never late to start my day. I was never late. Not once. Now, the first few times, they never told me where my classes were at. So obviously the class did not start on time, but I was physically on the property well before the classes actually started. So that establishes right there that they could not get me for being late because I was always there early. I always started my classes on time because I started my classes at, I think it was 7:15. I think 7:15, and then the classes ended for the day at 4:40 p.m. every day. I started each and every single class on time. I knew exactly where all my classes were, even the ones that rotated locations. I knew exactly where they were, and I started them on time every time. So they couldn't get me for that. They could not get me for uniform violations because I actually wore the Major Academy's gray shirt. Alright, I wore my beads, my beads. I wore my other beads, my wedding band, my watch. I wore all that. Now, to be clear, I did not wear my barbell because of the fact that it would distort my speech. So no, I did not wear that back then. But I also wore a mask in the classroom at all times because I was afraid of getting sick. Because when you're packed into a classroom of 50 students and hardly any of them wear a mask, then yeah, your chances of getting sick increases a lot. So what happened was I would wear a mask, teach the lesson, and that's it. Now, they wanted me to make the class more entertaining, more exciting, and I go, do I look like Ron McDonald? I'm not a clown, I'm a person. I teach the lesson, that's what I do. Alright, if you want Ron McDonald, go to the local circus and hire a clown. I'm a human being, I teach the lesson the way I teach the lesson. That's it. No more or less than that. What set me aside from all the other teachers is the fact that I actually care about my students. Don't get me wrong, the salary was great, alright? I'm not knocking the salary at all. However, what I didn't like was the fact that, how do I put it? I didn't like the fact that management was terrible, okay? You have a manager who, I thought I turned this fan off. Hold on a minute. Yeah. Hold on. 1 minute. Alright, there we go. I don't know if that affected the sound or not, so we gotta be careful with that. But anyway, so you have the foreigner English teacher manager. I forget what her name is now because she actually blocked me on Zolo. But she had tattoos, visible tattoos, on her arm. Yet for some reason, the English teachers are not allowed to have visible tattoos. Do as I say, not as I do. A hypocrite. I already knew she was going to be trouble as soon as I saw tattoos. Next, she classifies people who are clearly not native speakers as native speakers, such as people from South Africa. If you're from South Africa, you are not a native speaker. Native speakers are defined by the Cambridge English Dictionary as a person who has spoken English since earliest childhood, not having learned it as a child or an adult. Now, whenever I meet someone from South Africa, I hear the accent. That means they speak another language first. See, how language works is quite simple. When you speak the language, that's your first language. The one you learned since before you could walk and talk. Alright? Any language you speak after that will carry the accent of your mother tongue. Your first language. Alright? For example, people in South Africa, they speak up to 5 languages. Zulu, Xhosa, Dutch, Afrikaans, and a very, 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 very tiny percentage actually does speak English naturally as their first language. However, not every single actual native English speaker from South Africa is clamoring to come to Vietnam to teach English. Alright? That's why I say South Africans are not natural English speakers. Now, I, on the other hand, I come from the U.S. I've been speaking English since my earliest childhood memories. I am an actual natural English speaker. Alright? Now, a lot of people can't tell this because I wear a giant piece of metal in my tongue. But I actually am a natural English speaker. See, the thing is Major Academy Joint Stock Company, along with almost all the other English centers I've ever worked for, they want to deceive the parents into thinking that, oh yeah, we have white teachers, we have natural English speakers. Well, just because they're white doesn't mean they're natural speakers. Now, I come from the U.S. I am an actual natural English speaker. But just because someone has white skin does not mean they're a natural speaker. They could be from South Africa, Eastern Europe, or Russia. Russians are not native English speakers. Anyone who is born and raised in Europe are not natural English speakers. Natural English speakers only come from the United States, Canada, UK, Ireland, Australia, New Zealand. That's it. So people from the Philippines, people from India, people from Bangladesh, people from Pakistan, people from South Africa, not native English speakers. Now, why this is important is because non-native English speakers are required to have IELTS, TOEIC, or TOEFL at C1 Advanced or above according to the CEFR scale, or have a bachelor's degree or higher in the English language teaching English. So if you have a teaching English bachelor's degree and the course of instruction within English, then you don't need IELTS, TOEIC, or TOEFL no matter where you are in the world. However, the reason why the English centers here want to distinguish between native and non-native is not what you think. It's that they can pay the non-natives much, much lower than natural speakers for the same position. For example, as a natural English speaker, I could make anywhere from $20 to $22 an hour. Alright? However, somebody from the Philippines, South Africa, or anywhere else in Africa, India, Pakistan, they would be very, very lucky if they got $12 to $13 an hour. Mostly be about $10 to $11 an hour. So they pay them at least half as much or even less than half than what a natural English speaker would make for exactly the same job. They're overworked, underpaid, underappreciated. So I got about less than a minute and a half left before I switch over to the last topic for the day. Now currently, according to my clock, it is 12:56 p.m. on Thursday, the 18th of September, 2025. Put that in the sun. See, I got one of those watches that, I got a Citizen watch that uses the solar generation, you see. And it uses solar to go ahead and recharge the batteries. So it's actually quite cool. Alright, so I got 30 seconds left before I switch over to the last topic. So I'm just going to go ahead and say that Major Academy JSC, they suck. And I do not advise anyone to work for them ever, because all they're going to do is overwork you, underpay you, steal from you, and as soon as you stand up for yourself, they're going to go ahead and fire you. So, yeah. Alright, now, 4, 3, 2, 1. Alright, last topic of the day before I go ahead and cut out. Now, the last topic of the day is LinkedIn. And I always say the best for last, LinkedIn. Now, why is LinkedIn on my shit list, and why did I save LinkedIn for last? Well, it's quite simple. See, LinkedIn and I have had a beef going for over 3 years. Over 3 years. Now, see, as I said in the video that is age restricted, I went ahead and said that, I'm not liberal, I'm not conservative, I'm in the middle, because I'm a little bit liberal in some areas, a little bit conservative in others. Now, with LinkedIn, I have a beef with them because of the fact that I said flat out on a post that a man in a dress is not stunning or brave. That's just a dude in a dress. Who cares? To me, it's a non-starter. Who cares? Well, apparently they branded that as hate speech. And no matter what I said, no matter what I did, they still branded it as hate speech. And my account was permanently disabled because of that. So, yeah. And I went ahead and stopped using their services for like 3 years. And then earlier this year, back in April, I decided to re-register, but this time I used my Gmail account. So I got back on, and everything was going fine until about July, when it's either June or July, I'm pretty sure it was July, and my account gets locked out, and I'm like, what the fuck? So I go ahead and I re-verified through Persona. That's twice that I verified through Persona. And they went and said, the only thing they could tell me was that fraudulent and abusive activities. And I go, I'm verified through Persona, how could it be fraudulent? And I didn't abuse anyone. I didn't use any abusive language. I didn't abuse anyone, so how could it be fraudulent and abusive activities? They couldn't or wouldn't give me an answer. But they did reactivate my account. So, keeping the ball rolling, what happened was they went ahead and decided to go ahead and reactivate my account. So I'm on there again. And then last week, when the terrible tragedy of Charlie Kirk's death happened, first thing I did was I messaged the embassy or the consulate here in Ho Chi Minh City and gave them mine and my family's condolences on Charlie Kirk's death. And I also went ahead and made a post about it on LinkedIn later on, and also shared another post that one of my connections sent me. And then not too long after that, I got locked out again. So I tried 3 times to open a support ticket. 3 times. And it didn't work. Because I had to use the app development email that you get from LinkedIn, or not LinkedIn, you get it from Google Play. Because LinkedIn app is listed on Google Play, and they have a email there you can write to in case you have an issue. Well, I got an auto-generated response back, so I tried 3 separate times to open a support ticket, and it didn't work. So I just sent another email and said, look, I tried opening 3 separate support tickets, it didn't work. I verified once, and I opened my account back in April, once again in June or July, like I said, I don't remember which, when I had to re-verify my account, and now my account is locked out again. I'm asked to re-verify a 3rd time. I went and told them flat out, I'm not going to go ahead and re-verify every month or 2 to continue to use your service. I'm not going to be coerced into paying for your LinkedIn premium. I'm poor. I don't have any money for that anyways. And if it weren't for the fact that I actually need a job, I wouldn't be using your app in the first place. And I told them this. And they went and said that apparently I misrepresented my identity or posted false information on my profile. And I went and told them, because I just wrote them back and I told them, how can I misrepresent my identity when I was already verified with Persona? Twice. See, it's because of the fact that I'm white, I come from America, but I have a Chinese name. And that's what they don't understand, is that I'm white, I come from America, but I have a Chinese name. And I went and sent them a copy of my passport, a copy of my TRC card here in Vietnam that had my name on it. And I went and told them that I didn't misrepresent myself at all. This is my actual name. This is what I go by. I've been verified twice by persona. So there's literally no way on this planet or any other I could misrepresent my identity, because you have to have an actual government approved photo ID, whether it's an ID card, driver's license, or in my case a passport, in order to go ahead and pass persona. And I went and told them that, yeah, I did go through the verification again. And hopefully this time will be the last time, because I'm getting sick and tired of having to redo my verification every couple of months just to continue to use the service. And it's like I told them, if it's not for the fact that I have to have a job, I wouldn't use your app in the first place. Because now it's starting to become too much of a headache to even use it, because of the fact that I keep applying for jobs that I'm not going to get, because I'm not cute, young, single, childless. I know Vietnamese labor laws, plus I'm not a citizen, I'm a foreigner. So there's at least, let's see, I'm not cute, I'm not young, I'm not single, I'm not childless, I know labor laws, and I'm a foreigner. So that's 6 things that work against me in the local job market. Not only that, but American companies, I'm American, alright? American companies will not hire me for even remote work, because I don't live in America. And I'm not going to go ahead and move back to America unless my wife and my daughter are by my side as citizens. In order to get a citizenship for my wife, I have to go ahead and have at least 200,000 assets, which would be at least 3 BTC. I say 3 because, just reasons. Or be able to prove 20,000 net USD per year income. Plus, you have to pay $5,000 to $10,000 US dollars for an immigration attorney. Plus, you also have to go ahead and pay for all the rounds of interviews and everything like that at the U.S. consulate here. And for my daughter, I still have not given her citizenship yet because I don't have the money for it. I have to have a lot of money just to go ahead and send off for DNA testing. I have to have money to go ahead and send off to the Social Security office in the Philippines and all sorts. So I just ain't got the money for it. Now, I've also tried to go ahead and get dual citizenship here in Vietnam, because the United States and Vietnam do allow dual citizenship. But the thing is, though, is the fact that I'm not rich, I'm not famous, and I'm not a talented football player. So I have to have a PRC card, a permanent resident card, which one of the requirements for that is that you have to have a land ownership certificate, which means you have to buy an apartment at 2 billion dong, live there for 5 years, and then you qualify as being a permanent resident. Now, me, I don't want to live in an apartment because of the fact that those apartments are in 60-40 complexes where 60% Vietnamese and 40% foreigners. And I don't want to live around other foreigners. I prefer to live around Vietnamese people. That's the reason why I live where I live, and that's why I don't live in District 2, well, the old District 2, TLDW Ward, the old Phu Nguyen Ward, or the old District 7. I don't live in expat hubs for a very specific reason. Everything there is way too expensive. Just because I'm a foreigner does not mean I'm rich. I don't want to live around other foreigners. I want to live around Vietnamese people. That's why I live where I live. You have to prove a year's worth of income through bank statements, which is impossible for me because I'm unemployed. And I have been unemployed for almost a whole year. That business with that double-decker tour company doesn't really count because it was for a week and I refused payment for that anyway, so that doesn't really count. So I don't have the money to buy an apartment. I don't want to live in an apartment around other foreigners for 5 years just to go ahead and prove residency. And my Vietnamese language skills are okay for basic communication, but not for in-depth conversation. Now here's a kicker. For citizenship, you don't need to prove residency, you don't need to prove income, you don't need to prove language ability either. So my question is, why are the requirements for the PRC card so much more stricter than the requirement for citizenship? If no-name football player from Brazil, no-name football player from France, and I'm talking about soccer, what we call soccer in America, not American football. All right. So if a soccer player from France, a soccer player from Brazil, if they can get dual citizenship just so they can play on the Vietnamese team, then I, as a non-rich, non-famous, non-talented person, like I don't play sports, just an average person, I should be able to get the same treatment. I should be able to bypass the PRC card requirement and just go straight to dual citizenship. If they can do it, so can I. But they contribute something special to the country. They play football. That's literally all they do. If they were a professor, if they enlisted in the military, something like that, I could see that. But they play football. That's it. Now, far be it for me to question the government as to why they give citizenship to soccer players and not the people that actually need it. But that's just me. I think, however, that the government should remove the PRC card requirement and allow foreigners who have been in Vietnam for 5 years or more and can prove it, as I can prove it through my passport, because I've never left. I've only lived in 2 spots, the old Tan Xuan Ward and the old Tan Loc Ward, which is now neighborhood 42 of An Phu Dong Ward here in Ho Chi Minh City. And I've lived here in Vietnam coming up on 7 years at the end of October. 7 years I've been here. And yet I still don't qualify for dual citizenship. And yeah, it makes things very difficult for me. So getting back to LinkedIn. Like I said earlier, if it weren't for the fact that I was looking for work, I wouldn't use LinkedIn at all for any reason. Because, like I said, it's starting to become too much of a headache for me to even try to go ahead and use their app without stumbling over something. Or my account getting locked because I said something they didn't like, or I support a conservative figure that LinkedIn doesn't like. See, I feel that LinkedIn has increasingly become a mouthpiece for the left instead of being an open place like it should be. Now, yes, I know that LinkedIn is not Facebook, but at the same time, when you voice your support for a deceased conservative figure, and then literally right after that your account gets locked, that tells me that they locked my account because I support Charlie Kirk and not for any other reason. Now, like I say, I misrepresented my account or misrepresented my identity, even though I never did, and I can actually prove it, because all my paperwork is in my legal Chinese name. My passport card, my social security card, my amended birth certificate, my TRC card, my marriage license, my daughter's birth certificate, all of that is under my legal Chinese name. So honestly, I don't see how they can go ahead and say that I misrepresented my identity. Posting inaccurate information in my profile, nothing I posted in my profile is inaccurate. And I am actually still waiting for them to go ahead and show me what I posted that was inaccurate. Because of the fact that if they're talking about my name, I already showed them my passport and my TRC card that have my name on it. So there's literally no way I can misrepresent my ID, especially since I was previously verified twice before by Persona and even had to shield with the check mark in it to show that I was verified. Now see, here's the thing. I've already got 2 strikes. So if I get one more strike, my account is probably more than likely going to get permanently blocked again this time until I go ahead and redo the account under a different email address. But at that point, I don't even think I'm going to bother because of the fact that, like I said, LinkedIn starts to become too much of a hassle for me to even use anymore. I gotta go ahead and take a sip of water here. Alright, so I've got about 5 minutes left until it hits 1 hour, which I normally cut off my videos at about an hour. So I'm going to go ahead and just simply say this. If you know of anyone who can either give me a job remotely great. Let me know. Send me a message, like comment, give me your email address. Let's connect and talk. I have 7 years combined experience in customer service, and I know Vietnamese labor law, which I'm not sure how useful that is, but I know customer service, so I can definitely help in that area. If you know any philanthropists, I'm definitely open to working with philanthropists because I'm currently writing a business idea for a business that, if it gets off the ground, will be 100% green energy, solar, wind, and hydrogen power. And it will need a substantial investment, but at the same time, my shop will be a flagship shop. And I'll also offer franchise opportunities to other people if they're interested, because what I want to do is not only sell basic stuff like coffee, food, basic supplies from a convenience store, but I also want to sell energy directly to the public. See, my goal for my mini mall shop area thing is to be 100% self-sufficient in energy. No energy coming in from the Vietnamese power grid, and no energy going out to the Vietnamese power grid. Everything is self-contained. We can charge up EVs, we can charge up hydrogen-powered vehicles, and all shops will have a hydrogen-powered backup generator, UPS, an uninterrupted power supply. So in case the solar and the wind power tap out and there's not enough in the batteries, then the hydrogen fuel cell generators will switch on just like that, and everything will keep running until power is restored. Now, I've thought of a redundancy that if the power gets low enough, like too many people are charging, then charging stations will shut off. Like, we'll stop selling electricity. They stopped being charged monetarily. They stopped, electricity is not going to their vehicle anymore, and it's being conserved just for the business itself. But if the energy gets too low, then like I said, it'll switch over to the hydrogen powered backup generators until the batteries get enough energy in them to resume normal operations. Alright, well, I got exactly less than 2 minutes now until the 1 hour mark, so I hope I've given you all a lot to think about today. I'm going to try and make more videos from time to time since my daughter's in school now. There will be more time throughout the day for me to be able to go ahead and make more videos. So, in between the time that I'm not working on my business idea. So, once again, if you know of anyone who can either give me a job remotely or can go ahead and be a philanthropist and donate money to my idea so I can start my own company, that would be great. Send me a message, tuxedoshadow@gmail.com. Like I said in the description, there's 6 different ways you can donate. There's Picoin, Bitcoin, Etherum, USDT, PayPal, and VietinBank. 6 different ways to donate. So yeah, I accept the United States dollar for PayPal. I accept Vietnamese dong for VietinBank, and I accept cryptocurrency. So yeah, I need cash, and I need a lot of it, not only to survive, but to work also. I don't like having to beg for money from complete strangers on the internet, but at this point, I don't really have much of a choice. I've been here for 7 years. It's very hard for me to find a job, and I need help. So, yeah. But anyways, it's starting to get towards time, so I'm going to go ahead and say this is Yunli reporting to you live from Neighborhood 42 and Phu Dong Ward, Ho Chi Minh City, Vietnam, saying have a good day, be safe, and I will see you again in the next video. Peace.